Hello, this is going to be a Java tech demo just to give people an idea of what Java development in Take on Helicopters might look like in the future. I'm going to base this tech demo on a mission that Evo Dan released, his multiplayer co-op convoy mission. He uses two third-party scripts, Celery's Remove Dead SQS. I've rewritten this script as a Java module called Reaper, and Tofi's vehicle.sqf script that I've rewritten as a Java module called Respawner. So we're going to redo this mission using the Java modules as opposed to the third-party scripts. Now before we begin, we need to do a little bit of setup. In particular, we need to visit my Maven repository and download the settings XML file. The settings XML file simply tells Maven where it's going to download the files that it needs. So we're going to right-click on the settings XML, select Save Link As, and save it to my Downloads folder. There it is. We can close the browser. This next bit needs to be done from a Windows command prompt because we need to create a directory called .m2 in our home directory. And Windows Explorer will not allow you to create a directory if the name begins with a dot. So we make dir .m2, and while we are here, we're also going to copy over the settings XML file that we've just downloaded and copy that into the m2 folder. We can close the command prompt, and we're now ready to start up Eclipse. Okay, here we are in Eclipse, and this is just a basic Eclipse installation. I haven't installed any other plugins or third-party software. This is just plain vanilla Eclipse. If it's the first time you've run Eclipse, you're going to be at the welcome screen, which we can get rid of. Now we have to do a bit of setup in Eclipse. Again, this is just one time. We're going to go to Windows Preferences, go to Maven, and ensure that Download Artifact Sources and Download Artifact Java Doc is selected, and click OK. We're now ready to create our project, and we want to create a Maven project. Click Next here. Now, Maven has what it calls an archetype, which is simply a project template. And I have created a project template for Take on Helicopters that we will use for this mission. Now an archetype only needs to be added once. This is a one-time setup that we will do. From now on, this archetype will be available for us to use. So we add it, and there it is. We select it. You can think of the group ID as sort of a project identifier. I'm not going to get in too much of the workings of Maven at the moment, but we're going to give it a group ID, an artifact ID. We'll leave the version the same, and the package name here is the Java package that Maven is going to create for us. So we click Finish. Eclipse is going to do a bunch of setup. Notice here at the bottom right hand corner it gives us a little display of its progress. The number here doesn't really have any bearing on reality, so we're just going to wait until it says that it's updating the indices. There, Maven has finished setting up our project for us. Here it is. Maven has created the directory structure for us. It's created our Java package and provided us with a skeleton Java class that we will use. The important file is the POM XML file, which is project object model. We don't really have to worry about what that means, but it's the configuration file for Maven. There's a number of fields here we can configure. Again, I'm not going to get too much into the workings of Eclipse. The important tab is the Dependencies tab. And this is where we include the external modules that we want to use. And we want to include the Reaper class, or Reaper module, that handles the remove dead SQS script, or performs the same function. And we want to add the respawner module. So now we've included dependencies to those external modules. So we save our POM XML. Oh, I've misspelled this. That's respawner. And save. You notice that if Maven can't find something, it tells you right away that there's an error, which allows us to correct it. So we're going to go to our Java Manager class. Now in the Reaper module, there's a class called Grim Reaper that we want to use. So we're just going to type in a few letters of the class name and hit Control Space. Notice that Eclipse pops up some suggestions that match the letters that we've typed, and it provides some documentation for the class. We want to just use the default constructor, so we click on that. Notice that it finishes the command for us and includes the import statement that we need. Oops, didn't mean to delete that. Now we want to do the same thing for the vehicle respawner. So we just type in a few letters of the class name. Here's the vehicle respawner that we want to use. Again, it's providing documentation for us. So we'll select the first one. Now the vehicle respawner expects a list of the vehicles that it's going to respawn, and we're going to pass that into the game manager in its init method. So this array of objects is actually the array of vehicles that the vehicle respawner will respawn. Another thing we can do is if we click on the class name and press the F3 key, we can see the Java code for the module that we are using. And here we can see that the respawner simply loops over all the vehicles, and if the helicopter is damaged and the crew is dead, then we cause it to respawn. So simply by going and filling out a dialog in our POM XML, we've included the modules, and we have access to the documentation for the modules and the source code without having to do anything else. So we're going to save our Java Game Manager class. Now we just need to compile everything. So we're going to right click on the project, select Run As, and Maven Build. The goals we want are clean and package. We're going to apply this so we can run it again easily. And now build our project. Now since this is the first time we've built anything with Eclipse and Maven, Maven is going to download the internet. That's fine, just let it do its thing. Okay, Maven has finished building the project, and the important bit to note is that it says build success. Now Maven actually runs outside of Eclipse, so we need to go into Eclipse and tell it to refresh its listing. And under target now, we've got a file convoy.jar which contains all the classes and the external modules. In a perfect world, Take On Helicopters will be able to load classes out of a jar file, but until then we will need to extract those classes. And here if we go into our workspace, find our target, a jar file is just a zip file, so we can open it with 7-zip, and so we would just take this COM folder and drag it into our mission directory. We can take a look into it. Here's the modules that we have imported, and here's our Game Manager class. So we would simply copy the entire COM directory, as shown here, into the mission directory to make use of the Java classes. Now we just need to do one more thing. which is modify the init SQF script so it uses our Java code. Now here is the original script that Dan included in his mission. He spawns celery's remove dead SQF script. We're going to comment out that. Here's the modified file. We comment out the remove dead SQS. We load our game manager class, and then we call the init method and pass in the names of the 4 helicopters that we want the vehicle manager to respawn. Now in the actual mission, I've gone and made sure that those helicopters have variable names, and I've also removed any SQF code from their init fields because they're going to be respawned by our vehicle respawner in Java. So now we can save our init SQF. If we've got our Java classes in the mission folder, we should be able to run the mission and have it use the Java code as opposed to the SQF. I hope you enjoyed.